No, that's very helpful, actually, helps a lot. Do you remember anything about, this is ninth grade lit, in this class, we're starting the physician's tale, so I'm gonna go ahead and record this. This would be the F period, just to give them a shout out, they're ahead right now. Do anybody remember the physician? Like, anything about him?
This is the doctor, right?
Yes.
So, he was the best in the town, and then he had a love of gold. And he
Yeah.
he wasn't religious because he believed in
Right.
astronomy.
And we learned from the
Astrology.
physician that, yes, that medieval medicine also included things we would call mere superstition. But that was apparently typical. And I just point out, I love the medical field, but the best doctors will admit to you, things change. We learn new things all the time. And so medicine's gonna change. Fortunately, it changed in the Middle Ages, and they didn't put their hope in the stars and anything like that. So notice at the beginning, and I'll start reading, we don't have a lot of time. That he gives credit, or that is the physician, that is Chaucer, gives credit to Livy, is that how you pronounce the Roman? He gives him credit for this story. We told you at the beginning, Chaucer really didn't make up most of these stories. He borrowed them from other sources and made them his own. So let me read about, this is, I think you'll find this interesting, short, fairly short. Livy has handed down a tale to us about a knight surnamed Virginius. He was a man of honorable birth, rich, well befriended, and of sterling worth. So we're given the main character's name in the first stanza, Virginius. He was a knight. But most of the story is about his daughter.
What page are we on?
232. All right, so here you go. This knight had a daughter by his wife. There were no other children in his life. Of an excelling loveliness was she, above all others that a man might see. Nature had shown a sovereign diligence in forming her to such an excellence, as if she wished to say, look, I am nature, and this is how I form and paint a creature when so I choose. Who dares a counterfeit? No, not Pygmalion, though he forge and beat, color and carve forever. I maintain that Zeus or Apelles would work in vain to carve or to color or carve, to forge or beat, if they presume to make the counterfeit. For he that is the maker principal appointed me his vicar general to fashion creatures, all that ever were, and paint them as I please. For in my care lies all that's under moon and wax or wane, I form them all. I do not work for gain. My Lord and I are leagued in close accord. I made her for the worship of my Lord. And so I do with all my other creatures, whatever be their color or their features. This, I think, was what nature meant to say. So notice who is speaking in that paragraph? Nature. Nature, what would you call, it's really just a metaphor. So he's having nature speak.
Is it not personification?
Well, that's actually better. Yeah, you're right. I think that's a better, that's exactly what it is. Thank you. Yeah, so he's personified nature. I knew that didn't sound right, what I was saying, but you're right. What is he, yes. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry,
Oh.
never mind. Never mind.
Okay, you have anything to say?
Oh, no, I was asking, could I read?
Yeah, and then you can read. But what does he say about this girl, this daughter of the knight? But yes.
It says, I made her for the worship of my Lord, and so I do with all my other creatures. So she literally is made to worship the Lord.
Yes. Secondly, he said, look how, this is how I form and paint a creature when I so choose. It's like she is so perfect, nature's kind of bragging on her. So she's very attractive, but that's not what the focus is about her. It's not her appearance, it's something else, and Neil will read about that.
Wait, do we already say who were?
Yes, he's the father of this girl, and you're not gonna be able to finish, but you can at least start.
Maiden was 14, on whose array nature had spent her care with such delight. For just as she can paint a lily white, red and rose, teach it to unfurl her petals, so she touched this noble girl. Ere she was born, her limbs so lissome she had touched with color, where they ought to be phobias, her massive stress with a gleam had died and burnished from his golden stream. And if her beauty was beyond to compare, her virtue was 1,000 times more rare. There lacked no quality in her to move, the praise of sober wisdom would approve. Chaste of her body and her soul was he, and so she flowered in her virginity with all humility and abstain. In temperature and patient in it, with modesty of bearing and of dress, and showed in speech a modesty no less. Though I dare say, as wise as Pallas, she was simple in her words and womanly. She used no fancy term in affection of learning, but according to her station. She spoke in all and everything she said. She showed that she was good and gently bred. Shamefast she was, and maiden shamefasted, and constant in her heart. She was expressed in conquering Saul to fill the busy hour. Over her mouth had never
Yes, that's reference to wine.
Bacchus' power for wine and use swelled menace and desire, much as when oil cast up upon the fire. Indeed, her native goodness unconstrained so prompted her that she had often find some sickness to escape from company where there was a likelihood of
Rivalry.
as well there may be junketings and dances are good occasions for lascivious glances. Such things as these may soon too easily make a child bold and ripe as one can see. That's very dangerous and long has been, for all too she learns to play the game. And show how bold she is when she's a wife.
So we don't have a lot of time, but what is besides her looks, really more important than her looks, what is?
Her wit.
Virtuous.
She's virtuous. She's a good person. And we'll look more about that tomorrow, what makes her virtuous. We'll focus on some of those details. So I'll remember to come back to her.
What class is that?
Biology.